I hope that you guys also come with some creative initiatives where the DAO can get involved. So basically, we will present 8 projects. We will give a bit of context, but then we will also check with you guys how you can get involved, how you can get your hands dirty. And afterwards, I don't know if you've noticed, and I see that some are still missing, but we will fix this. At the back, we will have some questions per project. The idea is that we want to have your inputs to see your ideas so that you can co-create with us on this project. See if you can volunteer, and even if you can volunteer, leave us your contacts. If you don't want to write them down, just reach out to one of the stewards and we will happy to discuss with you. Also, if you have questions, just ask the stewards. So that basically this is going to be a free discussion. Afterwards, we will do some kind of takeaway of the certain points. And then at the very end, we will do an open mic. So if you have certain lessons learned, projects you're working on, or things that you want to share with the community, then the floor will be yours. After that, we have a beer, we network, and that's it. So, Bruno.
All right. So, thank you for being on here on the Crypto Wednesday. One thing we find really important is that you actually get to meet some people that are here. And so this is why we have the icebreaker right now. And so when I'm done explaining for the next 10 minutes, I want you to find a partner and just have a conversation about what excites, what repels, or what confuses you about crypto. And so before we do that, I want to do a little housekeeping so that it is also easy to get the attention back once the 10 minutes are over. So how I'll do that is I'll keep track of the time, and when we're at about 10 minutes, I'll have my hand in the air. And so when you see that, this is the sign for you to stop talking and also raise your hand in the air. And then if everything goes well, we will be silent in a few seconds and we can move on with the agenda. So how about we try this? Make some noise right now, start talking blah, 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 blah. Okay, lots of noise, yes? All right, it works, amazing, thank you. Okay, so I invite all of you to stand up and find somebody you haven't talked to much yet. You can walk a little bit around the space.
woke up on my friend's couch, I'm still high from last night. Missed calls from you, we had a bad fight. We were going back and forth like a half pipe. Said you left cause you knew I wouldn't act right. Fast life, ain't no slowing it down. I wanna make 100 racks just to throw it around. I want the paparazzi just to know I'm in town. I wanna bring a story with me to that hole in the ground. Yeah, my girl's saying I should open up, but I don't want you rubbing dirt inside an open cut. I got some friends that aren't here and that'll choke me up. I got some friends that still are and they'll smoke me up. Yeah, roll the paint up in the backwood. We let it all go on a back road. And I don't know where this life will take me, but I always find my way back home. Yeah, hey. And I fall down just to get up. But sometimes I feel like I'm stuck. Yeah, I know that lately it's tough, but when all's said and done, I'll say I did it all. Let's hop up in a whip, go and do us a dash. Let's live it up like this moment will last, yeah. Take the bullshit, put it all in the past, cause I'm having fun with you. Let's make some new friends, drive around in my old car. Hit the road, keep it close, but we go far. Take a pic, turn it into a postcard. Yeah, we ain't got time to lose. I woke up on my friend's couch, I'm still drunk from last night. Wait, oh that's the story for another day. The way I'm living, yeah, there's gotta be another way. This chapter's over, but there's gotta be another page. So we let the story unfold. Yeah, we had some bad times, but we letting them go. Ay, collected scars and we letting them show. But if they ever try to stop me, I'm just letting them know. Yeah, you can never rob me of my destiny. Fake energy will never get the best of me. I know I gotta leave this earth eventually. I'm just hoping when I'm gone that they remember me. Yeah, ay, and I fall down just to get up. Yeah, but sometimes I feel like I'm stuck. Yeah, I know that lately it's tough, but when all's said and done, I'll say I did it all. Let's hop up in a whip, go and do us a dash. Let's live it up like this moment will last, yeah. Take the bullshit, put it all in the past, cause I'm having fun with you. Let's make some new friends, drive around in my old cars. Hit the road, keep it close, but we go far. Take a pic, turn it into a postcard. We ain't got time to lose.
Curve the bitch while I swerve the whip. Take a shot of Bombay for the nerves. And shit, say the way I be talking, got her nervous and shit. I've been counting by the 100 while we working on the shift. This bread, it was made to thumb. Get ahead, then I run like I'm Forrest Gump. Two-stepping on my neck, VBS for fun. Tell him play this shit again and watch a bitch go dumb. Ask about a fist, probably makes me more jealous. Snow White in the nose, you a real Cinderella. In the Cadillac, the villas, black and white like Corella. In the bass so loud, you thought it was a Beretta. I'ma spend another 40 on a JDM. So many bitches on the roster, need a stadium. On a bus, the only place they love to hate me in. Yeah, she look a little sweet, let me taste the friend. 100 type shit, I hit the bitch and I'm gone. Gotta see a new location before I write me a song. He be saying he wants smoke, why can't we all get along? He can have his bitch back, but I'm keeping a thong. In an off-white bag, like my all-white stash. Yeah, bitch real nice, but I need my bitch bad. Is she looking at me? She looking at cash? Who cares? One night, then I hit my dash. Curve the bitch while I swerve the whip. Take a shot of Bombay for the nerves. And shit, say the way I be talking, got her nervous and shit. I've been counting by the 100 while they working on the shift. This bread, it was made to thumb. Get ahead, then I run like I'm Forrest Gump. Two-stepping on my neck, VBS for fun. Tell him play this shit again and watch a bitch go dumb. I'm a real crowd stunner, call it what you wanna. I can never sweat this ice like a tundra. Vamp life, I be outside to the sun up. Wasn't fucking with me, then just hit me through the come up. Like North Korea, she ain't got no soul. Bitch, don't stop it, keep that ass on go. Up these bands while she up that pole. All this ice, keep the wrist real cold. Got a goose for me, get loose for me. Told her bring a friend, but I mean 2 or 3. Always keep the shit a stack, just the truth for me. In the morning, grab ass, then the deuce for me. In the chrome art skirt, miss my chrome art shirt. Yeah, she look real nice, but her heart real hurt. She looking at me, or she looking for the words to tell me one night really ain't enough for her. Curve the bitch while I swerve the whip. Take a shot of Bombay for the nerves. And shit, say the way I be talking, got her nervous and shit. I've been counting by the 100 while they working on the shift. This bread, it was made to thumb. Get ahead, then I run like I'm Forrest Gump. Two-stepping on my neck, VBS for fun. Tell him play this shit again and watch a bitch go dumb.
Yeah. Bitch on gas though, out that ass get sick for this bitch, I'm a gnarly bastard. Getting money quick and it's only been getting faster. Smoking on the spliff and it get loud right through the master. Do it for the love, but the break got me obsessed. Why hitting hard, make my bank account get wet. I ain't fuck with her, I can worry about a mess. Yeah, I know I'm hard, I can worry about the rest. Cause I get it done, slash it off, no I gotta check. Yes, thank God, cause I'm blessed. Just couldn't settle, need more, never less.
To the two other people. And if you don't know a lot about the person, that's not a big deal. You can also ask them questions. Let's just try how this goes. And good luck. So with the two of you, find two other people and try to introduce yourself.
I'm fucking lit like bitch on gas though, out that ass get sick for this bitch, I'm a gnarly bastard. Getting money quick and it's only been getting faster. Smoking on the spliff and it get loud right through the master. Do it for the love, but the break got me obsessed. Why hitting hard, make my bank account get wet. I ain't fuck with her, I can worry about a mess. Yeah, I know I'm hard, I can worry about the rest. Cause I get it done, slash it off, no I gotta check. Yes, thank God, cause I'm blessed. Just couldn't settle, need more, never less. They foot with the kid, they know I'm raw than a bitch. I'm perfectionist, shit, I'm just flawed to the list.
Is it me? I know I can make you fall in love. Seasons change, stay the same, counting Benzes and lead up. Never take another L, I swear I've been through enough. Asking if I'm really young, I told shorty true enough. She don't dance, I turn her to a dancer. She know that I'm the miss, no question, no answers. Designer in the bread, it can never be enough. She with me, I know, she hope I fall in love. Iced out little baby, she been fiending for it lately. Told her hold her breath, she can't be the one to come and save me. I guess part of just a maybe. Up ass alone, feel greatly, I feel bad. Cause I know a couple girlfriends wanna taste me. Steady 10 toes, pop out whipping shit back then, wish we could rent those. What she sipping cost a check, but I can spend those. Got two foreigns on the luck, keep it akimbo. And they stay down, you would think they playing Lua. She bad, but she need to fix her manners. I might lose the cash, I can never hold the cheddar. Tell her move that ass, and my cadence make her wetter with the crew. Her bags always match a Fendi sweater. Money telling me the presidents be harming me. She want it, she can have it, I don't care what that shit costing me. Yeah, are you falling in love? Any love I have been lost in. Got a feeling you are, if it ain't me then it's obsolete. Is it me? I know I can make you fall in love. Seasons change, stay the same, counting Benzes and lead up. Never take another L, I swear I've been through enough. Asking if I'm really young, I told shorty true enough. She don't dance, I turn her to a dancer. She know that I'm the miss, no question, no answers. Designer in the bread, it can never be enough. She with me, I know, she hope I fall in love.
Yeah, locked in, spent hours on hours. Time's up, girl, you got the power. Girl, you gotta give your flowers, yeah. Yeah, and I know it's been days on days. Always telling me I'm stuck in my ways. Hope you know when the damn thing changed. Conversation, girl, you make me so impatient. You wanna bite off. Plenty patient, trying to make you feeling lately. You just can't do no wrong. I've been waiting to get you naked, time been wasting. Girl, you know you need to take it off. Gotta get that shit how you live. Guess it just is what it is. Put myself on the line. For you, girl, I'm bringing them demons out. I don't want nothing, babe, but your time. And that communication can't reach your mind. Know you so pretty, damn, with no makeup. Held it down on my way up. Please getting my cake up. You held it down, so I stayed up. Ooh, how it's gon' be? On some face to face. Put your phone on D&D. Ooh, how it's gon' be? Let me turn you out of mine. Out of me sleep.
Thinking about you.
Woo! Yeah, locked in, spent hours on hours. Time's up, girl, you got the power. Girl, you gotta give your flowers, yeah. Yeah, and I know it's been days on days. Always telling me I'm stuck in my ways. Hope you know when the damn thing changed. Conversation, girl, you make me so impatient. You wanna buy it all. Plenty patient, trying to make it feeling later. You just can't do no wrong. I've been waiting to get you naked, time been wasting. Girl, you know you need to take it all. Gotta get that shit how you live. Guess it just is what it is, man. Gotta let it be what it was. Like kinda hard for a thug, yeah. I know it's really no rush, yeah. I know they handle you rough, yeah. Plenty days with that attitude. Shot good when I'm sliding through. And I'm down for the vibe too. Just let me know what you try to do. Oh, how it's gonna be. Want some face to face. Put your phone on D&D. Oh, how it's gonna be. Let me turn you well on mine. All them niggas sleep. Woo! Yeah, locked in, spent hours on hours. Time's up, girl, you got the power. Girl, you gotta give your flowers, yeah. Yeah, and I know it's been days on days. Always telling me I'm stuck in my ways. Hope you know when the damn thing changed. Conversation, girl, you make me so impatient. You wanna buy it all. Plenty patient, trying to make it feeling later. You just can't do no wrong. I've been waiting to get you naked, time been wasting. Girl, you know you need to take it all. Gotta get that shit how you live. Guess it just is what it is, man.
I broke down on the interstate. I didn't need that fucking car anyways. I think it's still got Colorado plates on it. When I drink, I lose my mind. I called 1, 2, 3 too many times. You probably fucked up with some guy you don't like again. And I know that it's wrong to think that you would change from me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Broke down on the interstate. I didn't need that fucking car anyways. I think it's still got Colorado plates on it. When I drink, I lose my mind. I called 1, 2, 3 too many times. You probably fucked up with some guy you don't like again. And I know that it's wrong to think that you would change from me. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I hope that you're stuck in the same old goddamn place you left me off. Oh, what's wrong with me? Fucking car anyways. I think it's still got Colorado plates on it. I don't trust myself around you, but I can't say farewell since I found you. I don't trust myself around you, but I can't say farewell since I found you in my garden, in my sleep. We were both surrounded, you and me. Cybernetic wiring in my mind down to my irises. Martians and starships marching to violence. Shoot them out the sky to question why they say we violent. The weak sleep in cryogen to live life and die again. Why do I rise from every dream that I'm dying in? Why is peace a feeling that we feeling, wish to find again? Me, personally, I don't think I've lived my life with it. Just crashed another whip, think it's time to find my drive again. These days the world as a whole is disheveled, and every single soul's been sold to the devil. Government officials rocking golden embassies in the confinement of their homes, sending drones to go get you. In my sleep, we were both surrounded, you and me. Yeah.
It's 3055 and there's more robots than people. They got us closed off and they deem we all evil. Eat we all mostly machine, why would we need to? This message has been sent through centuries to reach you. They treat a phone just like an extension of soul. If it wasn't, then this morning you'd have left it at home. Line my notes with every verse and every line that I wrote. Through these optic lenses, take a glimpse and see through your soul. We kept dumping oil in the endless void of the ocean. Countless cities kept collapsing after floods and erosion. People seem nice, but everyone's devoid of emotion. It sucks to know that we could die and still never be noticed. Yo.
She want it bad, I might pull up with a bag. Feeling myself till we land, I gotta move fast. I might take off of a rag. She asked me if we can be friends, I tell her we passed. I just took off of a meal, baby be breaking the deal. But I know the facts, wanna be patient, bitch I'm amazing. All of the money I make is a blast. Yeah, icy, bitch you got my icy heart. Feel like I've been making art, money are just like a chart. I won't take no bitch unless she take my life and rip apart. Why you say I'm nothing like your usual type? That wasn't smart. Don't take my hand unless you got the part. Wanna be friends but we fucking the dirt. Your body is precious but comes a la carte. Said she needs twins so I can give it to different people.
Amazing. Your group is the first, you get a prize. You get second prize in the front. We're almost there. Alright guys, please wrap up the conversations, 10 minutes over. We have like many more things to go through, so... Alright, thank you. Just a quick debrief, how was this exercise? Too short, even 10 minutes too short. Anybody else?
It was fun.
Alright. You liked it? Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Alright, thanks.
I haven't been uncomfortable.
You were a bit uncomfortable.
When you, no, not that part. When you I was like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Introducing the other person.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was actually.
See?
She wasn't sitting next to a friend.
When it's a little bit difficult, we have each other's backs. Alright, thank you guys.
Just before I hand it over to Xavier, for those who haven't seen it yet, there is a code that you can scan. A proof. So for those who haven't seen it yet, you can get a POA, proof of attendance. Either the bar or just ask me, you scan the QR code, and poof, get a soul brand. But Xavier?
All right. Wow, this is getting professional lights and stuff for the live stream, and wow, this is all right. I need to be in the frame. Thank you everyone for coming. So I'm gonna introduce our special guest tonight. But before I do it, I want to give you some context about DAO Brussels and also the citizen wallet that we've been experiencing at the bar, because it's actually a great segue to what Michel is gonna talk about. Because Michel, when I asked him like, what do you want to talk about? It's like, hey, what about talking about ideas on how crypto actually is going to be useful for the transition? Because as you know, in case you are living in a cage or in a cave, rather, the world is going through a massive transition right now, right? With the climate emergency, with economic shifts and so on. And of course, crypto is a great new technology, a great new way to coordinate, allocate resources, to build up a new civilization. That's what's coming up. And the question is, how does it match? How can we use this crypto Web3 to actually facilitate this transition for things to go as smooth as possible? And I'm really looking forward to hear more what Michel has to say about that. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you, that's what the Citizen Wallet has been, we started that, is because actually, we didn't have to wait Web3 for communities to start building their own currencies. Here there is the Brouet, which is in Wals-Brabant, Brabant Wallon. There is the Zin here in Brussels. It's actually a real paper money, started 4 years ago. Right, so people use it in 200 shops in Brussels. But there is a lot of different things. I love this one because it's like a word trick in French. It's called un sourire. Cannot translate that really. But anyway, all right. So there is actually more than 5,000 local currencies in Europe. It's crazy, huh? But it's a bit like blogging before blogging. People didn't wait for blogging to exist before creating student newspapers and local newspapers. It already existed. It's just that blogging enabled people to do it at a much more easily, right? And so we saw an explosion once WordPress came about of people starting their own blog. And so that's kind of the idea here, is to use Web3 to how can we enable people to start their own local currency, but much more easily than having to figure out how do we actually print banknotes, right? So that's what we experienced here. So what we did with DAO Brussels is basically create an on-chain version of the Zin, right? And that's what you've been experimenting. And that's just one example of how can we use the blockchain, Web3, to give communities new powers. Not something new, something that kings were able to do way before, but like blogging, printing a newspaper was not something new, but making it at 1,000th of the cost and much faster is something that is new. And that enables many more people to basically develop their own blog or develop their own community currency. So with that, I'd love to now leave the stage to Michel, who's gonna share with us his expertise. Michel, we actually met like 8 years ago or something, because I was invited to talk about Open Collective. I still have the t-shirt. And you were invited to talk about the Commons because you actually have a lot of experience studying the Commons with the peer-to-peer foundation. But I'll leave you the floor to explain also like all the things that you've studied and that you've done so far.
10 minutes.
All right. Well, I'm from Belgium, so always happy to come back. Now I have the lights in my eyes. Can I move a little bit like this? Yeah. So just a few words about myself. So I live in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, which you probably know is one of the hubs for digital nomads. There are today 35 million digital nomads in the world and 5 million people with a crypto wallet. We had 25,000 digital nomads before COVID. I have no idea how many there are today, but there are a lot more than before. I work for two things right now. So I'm the founder of the P2P Foundation, which studies peer-to-peer dynamics, so translocal cooperation, and the institution of the commons, so shared resources that are created and managed by a group of people according to their own regulations. So not a state and not a private, but something kind of in between. I also work for the Civilization Research Institute. So if some of you are familiar with Daniel Schmachtenberger, he's all over the place in YouTube. So that's he's the founder of that. They deal with something called the meta crisis. So the fact that all the crises are compounding and evolving fast and faster through technology. Example, if you wanted to make a virus, in a Chinese lab, for example, it would take 2-3 years and then spread. But today with AI, you can make 400 in 2-3 years, right? So that's an acceleration of meta crisis. And so my role is to insert what they're doing in a kind of civilizational transition narrative. So I study macro history. So maybe you know Oswald Spengler, The Decline of the West, Arnold Toynbee, Study of History, many, many more. So I had a crazy idea to start reading them all because it was COVID. I was making a living with my conference and suddenly I couldn't move. And I said, this is not good. So I decided to do that. And I also work, I think it's interesting to mention, for the Global Chinese Commons. No, not for Jinping, but for Chinese crypto nomads who are, they cannot do it legally in China, so they moved to Chiang Mai. We now have 100,000 Chinese who settled in Chiang Mai in the last 5 years. And so it's an organization that promotes the engagement of Chinese developers and coders into the crypto world. And I'm the research coordinator of that. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Now, what am I gonna tell you? So basically, you know, if you think about like what's important in your life and what determines your level of freedom, place is very important, right? Like in Belgium, it's very different than Chiang Mai, and China is different than here. But just as important is like when you are. We don't often think about it, right? So it just happens that humans, like nature and like matter, we are cyclic. So there are cycles in human history. So that means there are ascending cycles, there are peaks, there are descending cycles, and there are crises. And then probably in between a chaotic transition. And of course, your mentality is going to be very different. Like let's say you have a 30-year growth period. Like everything is possible, you know. So we tend to project progress when we are in an up cycle. We think it's never going to end. But also when we are in a down cycle, we do the same, and we think everything is going to get worse and worse and worse, and it's never going to end, right? So it's very important to know also when we are. And so here's my thesis. The first thesis is that we live in, I use an English word, concatenation. I don't know how to translate it. So we are, in a sense, not so lucky that we live in a period where we are at not a cusp, the opposite of the cusp, where lots of valley. We are at a valley of many, many different cycles at the same time. So why is that important? Because every cycle has a purpose. And it means when you're at the end of a cycle, it means that the solutions for that purpose no longer work. So you have to solve something in order to get back to the upcycle. So when all the cycles move in the same direction and are in a crisis at the same moment, that's a very, very tough moment. Okay. Just to give you a few examples, I can't really give you a lot of details. Some of you may know the convergence cycle. So that's a 50-year cycle that deals with political economy. So a kind of energy, a management system, a way of doing agriculture, like all fits together, gives you 25 years of up. Very good for labor. It's called the lab part of the cycle. Welfare, social reforms, it's all good. We need labor, we need workers, we pay them more. And then you hit a crisis point, 73. Companies think they're not making enough money anymore. You get a counter-revolution, the financialization of the economy, lower growth, financialization. It's good for capital, it's not so good for labor. So you have a supply crisis. So capital is in crisis after the upcycle, and then you have a demand crisis at the end. People don't have money to buy stuff. Right? So 2008 was the end of a quantitative cycle. Then we have, if you're familiar, this is quite famous right now, the fourth generation cycle, famous book. This is double 100 years. First turning is, so after a kind of a revolution, everything is fine, so people are building the new. The second turning is when the young people who grew up in the positive side are no longer happy with the way things are. 1968. So there's a revolt in the second turning. The third turning, the people against and for the system are at the same level, the 90s, and then the fourth turning is when everything turns to chaos. So that's a civic cycle. In other words, it's about institutions. The hegemony cycle, I'm just naming them now. Every 100 years you have a new hegemon. Spain, Portugal, UK 1, UK 2, America. Every 100 years, and now it's very clear that we are in a geopolitical crisis, right? The multipolarity and stuff, monopolarity and stuff like that. Which is also a war cycle, and I'm sure you can feel it, right? Like the danger signs are all there, that stuff is going to happen. Okay, but that's just like the short term. There's also a civilization cycle that takes 1,000 years. So 500 years of decentralized growth of a civilization. Think about the polis in Greece, the Italian city-states, the medieval city-states. They start fighting with each other, they exhaust each other, and then there's an empire. Another 500 years, right? So European civilization started in 998, more or less. So we are at the end of a 1,000-year European civilization cycle. What are the signs of this? If you look at Spengler at the end of the Roman Empire, people don't make children anymore. Rome was entirely depopulated, right? So the barbarians could just come in because they didn't have soldiers. So they had to hire Germanic people to be in the legion. First they could socialize them to be Romans, and then they couldn't even do that. So the gods said, oh, why are we fighting for the Romans? We are the only people with arms, and they take over. Literacy goes down. This is a huge crisis now. So in the US, you look at 7th grade, students are now to 4th grade. They cannot get them up. So the people today, the children are stuck in the 4th grade, and in the 7th grade they're still 4th grade. So the fall of literacy is also a big thing. So depopulation, fall of literacy, we can see these signs today. Okay, so now the big one, 5,000 years. So until 5,000 years ago, we lived in kinship-based societies. The modes of exchange were gifting and commoning. So gifting is the gift economy. I give you something, and you feel unequal because I gave you something. So you want to give me something back, right? And commoning is you do something for a whole. For example, you're a hunter in a hunter-gathering society. You bring back the hunt. You're not selling it. You're not gifting it. You're sharing with your whole family, right? So that's commoning. It's a relation between an individual and a collective. For example, today, if you do open source, especially if you do it for free, why do you do it? So it's not that the other people in open source owe you something, right? They don't. But by doing that yourself, you benefit from the whole. You improve open source, and then you can use the whole open source. So that's commoning. So that was like, until 5,000 years ago, this was the dominant mode of exchange. That's how people did it. 5,000 years ago, we created civilization, writing, and markets and states. Okay. So the idea, of course, and that's what I read in the manifesto. So where is Xavier there? I think that's what you're writing in the manifesto, right? So I think a lot of people, me included, have a feeling and make an analysis that we are at the end of that period. So this is a 5,000 year cycle in which the modes of exchange were based on markets and states. Like they were always fighting each other a little bit, but they actually hang together quite a bit. There's no markets when there is no state, because you need security to have a market. If there's no security, there's no market. And so let me just share you one theory, which I'll just briefly mention. Is Michael Hudson. And he said there's always been a fight between East Asia and Europe for 1,000 years. So in the East, where I live, Shanghai, it's a harmony model of society. So you have a strong state, which keeps the market small. In the West, it changed. The Greeks, for the first time, the rentier class came to power. So you lend money for high debt, and that created democratic revolution. So Athens was born out of a revolt against the rentier class, right? So in Europe, we have antagonistic, democratic, trade-based maritime societies where the market is primary, and in the East, the state is primary. So to make it a very short summary, you could say that you cannot be an oligarch in China without the approval of the Communist Party. They can just take it away. But you cannot be president of the United States if you don't have billionaires financing your election. Right? So this is the polarity, right? I'm not saying one is good or the other is bad. So Here's my hypothesis. I call it the pulsation of the commons. So the commons, which I mentioned as a primary mode of exchange until 5,000 years ago, continue to exist. So medieval farmers would have their own land for their family, then they worked on the land for the Lord in exchange for protection, but they also had a commons. So in other words, part of the land was for the whole village. And they made agreements on how to use that land so that it would last forever. So for example, Switzerland, Austria, if you look at the map, it's so green. Why? Because the mountain slopes are commons. So the villagers have been managing these mountain slopes for hundreds and hundreds of years so that they maintain these resources, right? So here's a thesis. The pulsation of the commons means that if we are in an upcycle of a society, the extractive institutions based on growth and competition dominate. They do well, they provide resources for the people that they serve, and the commons die out or become weaker and weaker. However, in periods of down cycle, when markets and states provide less and less, that's a stimulation for the commons to come back. So you can look at the cycles, and the common is like the opposite, it's like a counter cycle, right? So obviously today, if we think that we are in this concatenation of down cycles, that would mean that the commons are coming back. But what's the difference between before and now is that we now have global commons, right? So this is the first thing when I think about crypto, first open source. What did open source achieve? The capacity to coordinate labor at a global scale, right? Peer-to-peer coordination of labor at a global scale. This we could never do before. And why is that important? Because when you work in small groups, you can have trust, you know each other, you can be convivial, and you feel seen, so you behave in a certain way because you know you are seen, right? So that's village life. The problem was, until today, that scaling made that impossible. So there was always, if there was a bigger enemy, they would defeat you. So you need a hierarchy to coordinate, and so that basically the story is always big wins over small. But you now look at Linux. I don't know how many people work for Linux. Last time I looked, it was like 25,000, but that was like 10 years ago. The average group in Linux is 4 people. Right? So we now have a technology that massively scales small group dynamics, and this was impossible to do before. So, but okay, open source still had one problem, which is if you had a market interface, you could make money. But the people who were working at the core of the open source had a very hard time making a living, because the companies would only pay the people they found immediately useful for their purposes, right? So you see open source, Linux is often dominated by big multinational companies like IBM, etc. So here's where crypto comes in. Crypto, so if open source is the capacity to coordinate labor, crypto creates the capacity to finance that labor. And I think that's a really crucial advance. So the other thing I think is very important about the change to crypto is the universal ledger. Blockchain, of course, but could be, could be holochain, that doesn't really matter. But so think about this. Until today, so let me first say, accounting was invented 5,000 years ago in Sumer, and it was, to count the grain coming in and out. So that's basically the state, the emergence of the state and accounting. In the 14th century, a Franciscan monk, Pacioli, I think is his name, invented double entry book accounting. That's the birth of capitalism, right? But these are private accounting. So I know that I'm making money, my capital goes up and down, my profit goes up and down. I have no ecosystemic information. I have no idea of my impact, what it is doing to the world and to other people. Now we have a universal blockchain, universal ledger. That means anybody in the world can enter or not enter into an ecosystem. And we now have forms of accounting that are without double entry. So I don't know if you're familiar with REA, Resources Events Agents, very fast growing accounting system. So basically, every transaction it's about a resource, it's an event between and the agents, right? That's all you need to know. But what you know is your place in 3D in the whole ecosystem. Contributory accounting is another form. Almost all open source communities have that. So how do we finance people who are not market interfacing but are good for the network? Right? So public goods funding in Ethereum. So they call it public goods because they're trained in Austrian economics and some Wilson and stuff, but it's actually commons, right? So optimism, all that stuff. So what crypto does is self-infrastructuring, right? It's creating its own infrastructures of mutual coordination, and it's able to fund its own commons. And that's very important. So if we think about the state is a coordination mechanism, right? The market only does like one-to-one, and then you have a state that looks at the whole, in theory, right? And so there is if we want to overcome the state and the bureaucracy, we need functional equivalence. So in other words, networks have to be able to do the things that the state does. Okay, so that's what I think crypto is doing, right? Crypto is doing mutualization of coordination of labor, coordination of financing in a unified global ledger. So we can create mutual coordination at the global scale. And we are creating our own commons. We are funding our own public goods. So we are actually able to fund our own commons without the state, right? This is huge, actually. So I believe that we are moving from a commodity-based civilization to a contribution-based civilization. Anybody who contributes creates value for the commons. So that's the difference with pure capitalism. So if you want to make wealth in capitalism, you need a scarce good, right? That scarce good has a price, so you can invest in the production of that good, sell it, and create a surplus. But negative impact is not counted. And a lot of people who contribute to the whole are not counted. So if you care for your kids, you care for the elders, it's not counted, right? It's not funded. That's the weakness of pure capitalism, is that you then need a state to tax, and then the state can redistribute and fund the common good. So it's called the collective action problem. Okay, so I think this is important. So we are moving from a commodity-based to a contribution-based economy. What does it mean is that in open source, in crypto, everybody who contributes to the network is creating value for the network, and all the commercial entities around crypto are collectively dependent and benefiting from these contributions. Without these contributions, they cannot function. Right? So the contribution is at the heart of the value creation. This is new. This is not commodity centric. It's common centric with a market that depends on the commons. And so the question that becomes, and that's what Xavier is doing, regeneration, becomes what kind of market is good for our commons, right? So there are kinds of markets that exploit the commons, that are too extractive for the commons. So we are choosing to have market forms that are generative for our commons, right? And so I would simply say, if there is capitalism, it was because we had capitalists, right? In the medieval cities, the guilds, because there was a weak empire in Europe, became independent and then created eventually the merchants. And the merchants created the world to their image. My argument is the commoners today, the digital coders, are creating commons. Just as the writing elite created civilization, the coding elite is creating something. They want to build a world to their image. So you don't want the banks to control you, you don't want the governments to control you. So you're creating a world that corresponds to your values as a community, right? So all these are civilization changing. So, okay, I only had 10 minutes, so I just want one more word. cosmolocalism. I think the next civilization will be cosmolocal. What does it mean? Everything that's heavy is local. Everything that's light is global and shared. So relocalizing production through distributed manufacturing, on demand, biodegradable, everything you like, but connected with basically global commons, right? That have the protocols of cooperation that keep the knowledge for the whole community, etc., etc. So this combination, I think, is what we are building. And what is missing today in crypto, this is my argument, I call it crypto for real, is that we don't do production yet, right? And I think this is the next step. So regeneration means that urban commons are growing exponentially. So whether you talk about cooperative housing, collective purchasing organic food, this is growing like tenfold in 10 years. I studied it. I did a project for Ghent. We mapped out, there were 50 commons projects in 2008 and 500 in 2016, right? So this is happening in all cities of the world. But these people don't use crypto, right? So I think this is a priority. And actually the next Gitcoin round is going to be about this. Sensorica has been asked to organize this. And Sensorica is they make hardware sensors, open hardware sensors, and they've been working 10 years with an open value accounting system that is the most advanced in the world. And so I think they're a good candidate to do that. So you'll hear the news about this soon. But I think this is a priority. So crypto for real means not just to escape the world and say, okay, Portugal is doing badly, so I'm going to the islands. Which is, I don't critique it, I'm there as well. But at some point, if you are not connected to the people, and if the people are hungry, they'll come for you anyway, right? So I think this is what crypto should do. It should connect with productive communities that are commons oriented, and we need this kind of synthesis between both. I probably should stop here. I can say a lot more, but thank you for listening to me, and I hope it's.
Wow, that was really, really, really deep. We have some time for a few questions, and maybe before the first questions, I would just say, thank you so much. I don't know if you realize the chance that we have to have Michel tonight with us. I usually would speak to really large audiences, and when the last thing you said, I wanted to react to that because right now there's been a lot of strikes with farmers just a few days before you arrived. And I think it's a good example where the current state is failing them. It doesn't give them anymore. The current market is not giving our farmers, which provide the most important thing, which is the food we need to live. And it doesn't market price those products well enough. So what do you think, how can the crypto new civilization can do to make sure that now we can take care of them?
Right.
In a different way than it used to.
Well, I can tell you what is happening. So in France, you have something called Terre des Liens. It's a community land trust movement. In Holland, you have herenvoeren.nl. So what they're doing is they're buying up land because it's too expensive for young farmers. Like if you're a young farmer, it's like being a young citizen, you can't buy a house anymore. A young farmer can't buy land anymore. So they buy land and then they rent it with an ecological contract to farmers. Now here's the interesting thing. They did a report already in 2016 that they're saving the French state 350 million euro in depollution costs, right? Because if you're an organic farmer, you don't use pesticides, so the water remains pure. And so here's the problem with the market system we have is that we cannot fund that. So I'm advocating for public ledgers. So what is a public ledger? A real-time public ledger organization is you ask the farmers or whoever to log in their contributions, you vet them, and you can do that in peer-to-peer systems. You tokenize it, and then either the public authorities, they share their gain, like this, okay, half of what we gain we put back, and also big companies that profit from this can also contribute. So then you have, so this is not producing scarce goods, taxing them, and no, this is a direct financing of contributed labor, right? But the problem is today, like politicians don't understand this, right? Because left or right doesn't matter, because they think value comes from scarcity. So we need to make everything scarce, including infinite knowledge. We need to make it scarce. Then we can tax it, and then we can fund you, right? And then when things go bad and there's no more tax, they don't know what to do. So this is why we have to do this ourselves. Now later on, if you're strong enough, then we can, I call this a partner state, which is adapting the state to the commons. And so that wouldn't be a welfare state that gives us as consumers, but that would be like a facilitating organization that enables us to common. It stimulates individual and social autonomy. Now there are already examples of this, like in Bologna, the Bologna regulation for the care of the urban commons or something like that. Starting in Bologna, 250 cities took it over, and then 1 million Italian people in the city is contributing to the urban health to these programs. So basically, any group can say to the city, I want to do this. And then the city creates, it's called a quintuple helix, so business, NGOs, research, and the city, 4, help, 5, common-centric citizen initiatives. And they make it possible to do this. And this is really necessary because most of our legislation is anti-commons. The Napoleon Code, and it's even worse in the Anglo-Saxon country, is designed to destroy the commons. So here's a real thing that happened to me in California. I talked with the SELC. Anyway, it's like a cooperative lawyer group. Do you know, Michelle? It's forbidden to collect rainwater. It's forbidden to grow vegetables in front of your house. It's forbidden to dry your clothes in the sun. It's forbidden to make marmalade and exchange it with your neighbors. So legislation is designed to make it impossible for people to share, so that we create artificially a commodity economy.
Yeah, we made a garden in front of our house in Schaerbeek. My partner lived over there, and it got taken away by the commune, and I was yesterday at the tribunal for it. So yeah, indeed, it's actually
So
hard.
this
So the game plan is basically we need to create organizations where we can actually do those multiple stakeholders.
Yes.
Organization, which a DAO is basically what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Decentralized autonomous
So
organization.
the technical word is polycentricity, right? The commons is the third way.
Wow, and I thought that
It's
DAO was
poly-
already a complicated word.
Polycentricity. It's
Polycentricity.
like
Alright.
mixed mode of governance.
Okay. Alright, so you know what we have to do, right? Create DAOs for farmers and tokenize their production and make that on market so that we can start taking good care of them because we need them for the future. There was questions over there. There is Thomas and then Lynn. Yeah.
About China before, and I heard that China has software or like tools to build their own blockchain. Like if you want to build an app on chain, China provides you tools to build it. Do you have any information about it? Is it true? Is it false? And I have another question.
Yes.
About,
Go ahead.
yeah. And about open source, recently, like 2 days ago, there was a postman for the free open source festival.
Just right here in Brussels. Yeah.
Yeah, just here, and basically there is no blockchain. So no one speaks about blockchain. Yeah, one I wrote, but it's not a blockchain.
Out of 8, there were 800 talks. One about the blockchain.
Yeah, one about smart contract securities, and in fact they don't really integrate blockchain, I think, from my perspective. So yeah, when I speak with people, they don't really know blockchain, or they are afraid about blockchain and in the open source world. So like, what do you think about this? because you talk about open source, Linux, stuff like this, they are not using Bitcoin, they are not using cryptocurrencies.
All right, so two questions. The first one was about the state of blockchain in China and whether China is actually providing the rails for helping citizens create organization on the blockchain, on the Chinese powered blockchain. And then the second question is about what do you think about the polarization right now, where there is indeed a first generation of open source, Linux and all of that. Turns out they are really kind of very anti-blockchain actually.
Right.
So those two questions.
Yeah. That's kind of an unfortunate thing that humans have, is that we are like always in our own tribe, and we reject things that come from the outside. I used to work a lot with open source, and for example, you would think that open source and open hardware would know each other. No, it's the same thing. They don't know each other. They don't work together. And but also I think crypto doesn't necessarily look at open source.
It goes both ways.
Yeah. So I think the weakness of open source for me is because it hasn't solved the economic question. It becomes dependent on capital, and big firms tend to control open source community. And that's a real problem. So I think crypto is of course also very financialized, but it has more. So one of the things I tell you what I really like about crypto is there's a lot of anti-oligarchic mechanisms, right? So you have the token holders, but then you have all these mechanisms like quadratic funding, which are explicitly designed to counter oligarchic power, right? And nobody else is doing that. The open source world is not doing that. And so, okay, let me just rant a little bit. So there's a book called Isonomia from Kojin Kamitani. He says, democracy was not born in Athens, but on the Ionian coast. And it was based on the freedom of movement. In other words, forking, right? So because people could leave, these cities had to be democratic to attract people. And the more freedom they had, the more people would come. In medieval cities were very democratic. Like all the guilds were self-organized, had their own tribunals, and then negotiated together for the whole city. And crypto is doing this, so that's why I think there's a lot of healthy stuff happening in crypto. And
what about China? What do you
China.
do about
So
that?
I actually don't know about this. All I know is that my friends who I work with, they say a lot of things are illegal in China, including crowdfunding, Bitcoin mining. So I'm surprised to hear that. So I will ask them. Now, this being said, I think China has some advantages. It's the first biophysical civilization. So what I mean is, there are two Chinese provinces that are already having biophysical accounting systems, meaning they can see matter and energy flows. And when China goes to Ecuador, they don't pay, they exchange goods, right? And I think this is very important. So for the future is that, I think China is like a Masonic lodge of engineers, right? Communist Party, it's like everybody's an engineer and they manage the country. So the advantage of that system is that they can look ahead. They can strategize over 30 years. And I think that's our problem in the West, is that we've been so taken over by private interests, and there's a fusion between corporation and state that it's very hard to do like strategic things. So, it's not that I like the regime in terms of freedom.
It's a very different one, yeah.
But it has some advantages that it can plan and think
For better and for worse.
in their own way, think about the future of the system, and it's something that's very hard to treat against.
Lane had a question, and then Lane first.
No, I think that's a problem. So I will tell you, I spent 2 weeks. First, I went to Montenegro, Suzalu, Montenegro. Yes, and I liked it because there was a lot of libertarian people, but there was also like leftists. And I was sitting on a table, and there was a climate denialist, a greenwasher, and a deep adaptationist, like a collapsist, right? And they were talking together without fighting, without accusing each other, because they have a commons that they're built together, which is an infrastructure which is useful for all of them. So I found that very valuable. But then I went to Suzalu, Istanbul, and there were only libertarians. And so here is they're computer engineers who study game theory and Austrian economics, and that's all they know. So this is a problem of crypto, right? So you yeah. Right. Yeah, well, I think you need both. I think it's, yeah. Well, I think that's what the commons is about, actually, right? The commons, for example, were actually managed by the women mostly. Medieval commons were basically managed by women. And I also want to say it's something about identity. The third most important festival in the Middle Ages was called the Rogentide procession. And so it's the people of the parish would walk around the village and would reconfirm their commons, and so they would have these milestones. So it's called beating the bounds. So they would say, oh, the neighboring village is stealing this, or the Lord is taking this from us and it's from us. And so this was like an identity marker for people. The village was actually all the people using the same commons, right? And so in terms of psychology, it's very important for your identity construction. In the West, we all atomized, right? We all separate. And I think the commons nowadays is very, very important to overcome these divisions, like the cultural war polarization, right? But in Montenegro, what I saw was people, who would be like killing each other in the cultural war. They were still talking together because they had something that bound them. So there's mass formation and group formation, right? Mass formation is you look for people who think like you, and then you exclude people who don't think like you. Cancel culture, basically, right? Today's cancel culture and is twice as bad as Macquarie. So this year alone, 1,500 professors lost their jobs in the US. So it's very bad. And so there's people excluding each other on ideological tribal grounds, right? And I make no illusions if the other side will be on top, they will do the same. And group formation is actually pluralistic relationships around common construction, right? So this is why, for example, I used to do these, I call them deep dives. We would talk for the whole week and go home with a headache. Now we are going to do walks. 1 week walk in south of Naples, talking together a bit in the morning, 10 kilometers of walking. So embodied in nature in a historical setting. And in the evening we do the pipe, the Indian pipe. And everybody can share how they digested the
Power circle.
the learning. Yeah, the power circle.
No PowerPoint.
So yeah,
Power
I think
circle.
this is, but you're completely right. But I think if the crypto connects with the urban commons, then you would see that the urban commons are diverse and are much more female and crypto is a male engineers project, right? That's its strength also in a way, but it's also a big weakness.
That's why it's important to realize that we are just a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And
You
that
should
it
see
has
it as
to
a puzzle.
connect with
Yes.
other pieces, otherwise it's pointless. All right, last question. Then we can still mingle. There will be some pizza coming, I've heard, and then so I can still ask questions with Michel if it's not too jet lagged. But there is maybe a technical point, please. Okay, so there will be a small break. Okay. So just there will be a small break so that we can refill also with the bar and get some drinks. But there was just one last question that we'll take now together, and then after that we can still mingle and ask questions more smaller groups. So can you repeat the question?
Yeah, how Patreon and all of that and Substack. So I think we have a problem now, which is again is fragmentation. The mass media are going down. It's replaced by Substack and Patreon, where if I want to read the people I missed it, I would have to spend like 2,000 euros. So fragmentation and it's the same with crypto. I'm working with these young Chinese. They're using Telegram, and I have like 50 Telegram groups that I have to follow every day. Like it's unbelievable. So this is regression. Seriously, like yeah.
This is good to support. You know that you want this more this you crowdfund it. Maybe it's for common goods.
No, I think it's good, but I think it's still transitional because it's too fragmented. So I think we need to have more federated solutions where, like I want to follow 15 people on Substack, but I cannot pay 15 euro per month for each of them. That is a real problem. And so it's good, because now, if you follow the mainstream news, you go crazy. It's a narrative. So everybody actually needs to have a pluralistic diet. And it's hard. It takes time. You can't do it for everything. So we also need federated systems where people can, it's a bit like liquid feedback. What's called the voting system.
Liquid democracy.
The liquid democracy. I think we need systems that where we can delegate, and then trust the people we have delegated, because no individual is able to check all the knowledge. That's a real problem. Like the few things I checked, I noticed that I wasn't getting the truth, but I cannot check everything, right? So this is really. So I don't think we have the solution yet, but I think this is part of the transition. Breaking the stranglehold of the gatekeepers. So now we have a fully distributed system, but I don't think that's the end game.
And talking of which, he's digesting a lot of information, so you can follow him on Twitter. And I have a hard time to keep up myself, so there is a lot of interesting content that you share.
I can't follow myself either, so don't worry about it. But also wiki.p2pfoundation.net, where I keep track of peer-to-peer and commons-oriented developments in all fields: housing, agriculture, food, politics, you name it, it's there. We had 1 billion views not long ago.
Great. So the future is bright. As
you have to learn from other people, right?
Yes.
Don't do your thing on your own. Just check out how many other people have already tried what you've done, and you'll be surprised what you can learn, and that will accelerate evolution. You can do that. Now, I heard, and I can't find it, but I know I saw it. There are already calculations that we are learning 8 times faster today than 20 years ago. Look how fast a new technology gets spread compared to 20 years ago, right? And an example is LEDs, IEDs, explosives. It took the Taliban like a year and a half to learn how to do it. Now a new group would learn it in 1 week. Sorry. not a good example. But
Let's do it.
All right, thank you very much. There will be a break in and then there is another one. I announce what's next. Do you want to announce what's next?
I might just propose maybe the next time.
Attached to you, still right where you left me at. Please don't forget me yet, that's all that I'm asking you. Did what you had to do, I promise I'm trying to keep that in mind. I am, but all that I had was you, and it wasn't part of the plan. When you put my heart in that suitcase, stuff my feelings in a carry-on. I cannot carry on, wonder if you stayed, how things would have went. I hope this isn't the way that it ends. I hope you know how much time that I spend, just hoping that you don't move on from me and turn what could be into what could have been. Remember you promised we could stare at the stars, they'll show us we're not alone. We may be apart, but we'll stay close if we both stare at the stars. Stare at the stars. Stare at the stars. We'll stay close if we both stare at the stars. I see your face in a constellation, pacing back and forth out on this balcony. Could be a one-sided conversation, hopefully not. Been thinking a lot, the more that I call, the less that we talk. It's like I've been watching the end of our story. I just wish I had a say in the plot. Yeah, I gotta work on acceptance. Things change, if they don't, then it can't be real. Expect the unexpected. Ironic how I complain about the way I feel when I let the distance affect us. Since you left, I've been so overprotective. Funny how that does more harm than protect us. We're separated, but I feel connected when we stare at the stars. They'll show us we're not alone. We may be apart, but we'll stay close if we both stare at the stars. Stare at the stars. Stare at the stars. We'll stay close if we both.
Wait, I just had my first ping. I ain't have a job in 2 years, it was way harder than you think. Never thought I'd be the one to make it happen, I thought I would just sing. Funny how things change, not a girl I wanted, really wanna link. Wait, everything 180, huh? Next stop a Mercedes, huh? Why my ego inflated? Cause old haters outdated. And to all the girls I dated, I'm really sorry I made it. And we can't even have a conversation anymore, my number's not the same. Damn, I'm on the same bullshit like a matador, and the VA sound like a dinosaur. Pretty little bitch that I ignore, she wanna get nailed to a 2x4. Everybody say they wanna see me score, but these days I don't really know no more. Hey, motherfuckers really hurt my core. If I keep going cool, they gon' pull my cord. I'm on the same bullshit like a matador, and the VA sound like a dinosaur. Pretty little bitch that I ignore, she wanna get nailed to a 2x4. Everybody say they wanna see me score, but these days I don't really know no more. Hey, motherfuckers really hurt my core. If I keep going cool, they gon' pull my cord. And that's why I don't really got no friends. Circle same size since I don't know when. And I don't really know who want me to win, but that's the result of the city I'm in. I work like a slave, trying to get everyone paid. I want everything like Tim. What do I say? I just wanna pull off in a rave, make a car dash like Kim. Smile on her face, she can't wait till I get paid. I'ma take her far from her sins. Everything changed, it's a bigger picture in the frame. I ain't never looked back since. Said she want a steak, we already went to every place, so I had to take her out the crib. Incredible taste, but it won't last longer than a date. Because I'm on the same bullshit like a matador, and the VA sound like a dinosaur. Pretty little bitch that I ignore,
have a way to get. All right, if I can have your attention, I have something for you. Yeah, that's a good idea. But first, before we get there, I can get anyone. So this is an experiment, right? Because we didn't really organize this, but they are. I just ordered some pizza. So this is the gift economy. So you can contribute. We trust you. You contribute to @pizza. So with the Citizen Wallet, you can just send money. You can just write pizza. You just created the account, and we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get enough to pay for the pizza. Anyway, they are there. We put them on the bench there. But before that, we wanted to do a quick open mic for people to share projects that they are working on in the line of what we try to do with DAO Brussels. And the co-contributors of DAO Brussels are already kind of prepared a few things. So they're gonna share what they're working on, and really invite you to go talk to them to know more about it, or even better, join them to make sure this is happening, and that you can also contribute and be part of the contribution economy that Michel just talked about. We'll start with Luis or Matthias. Come on. And everyone that come and share a project gets a pizza to share. Okay?
That's a good method. Okay. Hi, my name is Matthias. I'm working in trying to build DAO Brussels in public and to make all this on-chain governance in public, all the things in DAO Brussels, trying to make it all open and contribute with everyone, like for example the live in YouTube, DAO Brussels, like the real on-chain DAO Brussels, to build it in public. And we have some plans for ECC, like walks, party, breweries, visits. We don't know, but there is some plans in ECC. ECC is a conference in July, and it's a really big conference about crypto, and we are planning to do some events. Thanks to Javier, we have some room here in Central for the 10th of Wednesday 10th of July to make some event. And if you want to contribute and think something, or you want to share something, anything about these things, we have the posters there to write ideas and to connect with me and make things in the environment. No? The other, can I have my pizza?
That was for the EFCC side events work group led by Matthias. Something else? Next slide. Office hours.
Okay, so
Bruno.
I'm confused. We're gonna do the presentation?
No, it's just you share open mic, you share what you're working on to recruit people to come help you to make sure it's happening.
Yes, so office hours, this is a fairly easy one. Tomorrow, 7:30, I'm going to be hanging out in the Discord just to make it more, make DAO Brussels more accessible and start involving more people. And the plan is to do that every 2 weeks on Thursday evening, 7:30. So if you have any questions, if you, I don't know, need a map, need to know where to go, who to talk to, just come hang out tomorrow at 7:30 in the Discord. Whoever shows up are the right people.
That's discord.dao.brussels. You get an invitation, easy. Thank you, you get a pizza. Thomas, where's Thomas? Crypto Wednesdays.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here. Hello. Okay, but so you know what Crypto Wednesday is? Because you are at Crypto Wednesday. So I won't describe you Crypto Wednesday, but the real goal is to create these events together. So yeah, just talk together, see how we can improve it, so how you can be involved into it, and propose, let's really co-create this event together, and we want to create the best community blockchain of Brussels. So yeah, let's engage, and but we don't take a pizza everyone. I think.
Can I maybe? Can I maybe add to this that we are also looking for speakers they don't all need to be Michel Bouwens. So if you have a nice project or topic you want to discuss and share, contact one of us, and we will see if we can make this happen. Next month, for example, or one of the other months, voilà. You can, because afterwards we will do the discussion, you can always give your name to Thomas or one of the other stewards.
We need to go fast. Pizza's gonna get cold.
Yeah, get fast.
So the next slide is Tada. I don't know who knows Tada in the room. Okay, obviously Thomas knows Tada. But Tada is short for Toekomst Atelier d'Avenir. And what they do is they involve citizens, civil societies, businesses to emancipate and integrate Brussels' most vulnerable kids. And how do they do this? They do this by organizing outside school hours, like trainings on a Saturday or on a Wednesday evening. Basically, the goal is to give those kids a purpose, but also to strengthen their relationship or their connection with the society. And maybe the most important thing is to boost their self-confidence, their motivation. Maybe some of these trainings tickles the fancy of these kids and say, hey, I can do this as well. And all of this, of course, to get a more inclusive society. So how does this match with Brussels DAO? It's a perfect match. So what are we going to do? Sorry, I'm going to next slide. So we are currently in discussions with Tada, that organization, and we're going to create a hands-on inspiring training around blockchain for those kids. Basically, it will be somewhere in Brussels. It will be for the alumni of Tada, so age between 14 and 22 years old. 10 to 20 kids. It will be in French. They speak French and Dutch. Apparently, French is the best language to do so. We will provide computers and so on. Our question towards you is, okay, how are we going? How can we motivate those kids? How can we teach them? How can you, for example, participate in this? How can you create the content for those slides? Maybe be on the event and train those kids. So voilà, this is another project.
Great.
So
education. And the DAO Brussels beer, Mariano.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming. For those who might not know me, my name is Mariano. A couple of months ago, I offered myself to help and manage the bar. I was leaning towards buying cost-effective products to offer in the bar for you guys to drink during the event, and also leaning towards local products. And I found this pretty hard, actually, more than what it seems. And I put some thought into this, and I reached a friend of mine who actually he's a community member of the organization of the DAO. He's an expert. He has a lot of passion for the beer. His name is Tom the Block. He founded the Belgium Barrel Alliance. And having some talks with Tom, he mentioned to me that he had previously thought of brewing his own beer for the Belgium Barrels Alliance. And this is when I had an eureka moment. I said, like, why not us all together, the community, the DAO, brew our own beer so that we can all drink it here. And basically, this the beer that we're gonna co-create with all of you together, present, will provide beer for the thirsty. It will provide support for the local economy. It will provide a transparent supply chain of the goods and the origins of the beer. And we will also educate on blockchain with a tangible product that we see and we drink all together. So that's me, that's Mariano. I have Dries as well, that he's another passionate on the beer topic. I'm gonna be near the entrance where the manifesto is. If you wanna share, talk about this subject, maybe we can co-create, share some contacts, and yeah, let's do it, guys. Thank you.
I thought it's easier to understand crypto after a few beers. And it's a token that has a lot of liquidity. On-chain sovereignty.
Yeah. Hi again.
Really quick.
Yeah. Don't go to the bar because I'm here. I can take care of you. Okay, really quickly, the on-chain sovereignty. Why sovereignty and not governance? Because sovereignty is by the ground, where governance is by the head. So we can talk about it after if you want, but it's a bit different. So I want to point out this fact, and it's really the boring part of all this presentation. Is the technical part. So yeah, if you are technical, if you want to discuss about technical part, about implementation, which smart contract to choose, how to recognize contribution, how to implement this on chain, feel free to join the group that we will create. So yeah, feel free to reach me out and to talk about it on the technical part. Thank you.
I'm getting hungry.
That's it for you.
Alright, you know already, but the Citizen Wallet, it's open source, it's a product also that comes out of DAO Brussels, so if you want to contribute, you are very welcome to join. We need people who can code, people who can design, but not only, also people who can actually go and reach out to local shops to ask them to start accepting that. With FCC, plenty of people with crypto will come to town, 10,000 people or more. Wouldn't it be cool if people could actually use their crypto to buy stuff at the local shops? But for that we need a lot of volunteers and people, so please join the working group on the Citizen Wallet. Thank you.
Alright, last one. I want to make a website. with events and stuff, not just DAO Brussels, but also like the wider community, and then also like a bit of automation to make it easier for us organizers, such as sending messages on WhatsApp and a participative newsletter. So if you want to code or brainstorm or design, come talk to me.
Alright, so maybe because the pizza is going to get cold, I propose, because afterwards we had the open discussions with the papers over there, I propose we do this while grabbing a piece of pizza, and afterwards the floor is yours and we do an open mic where you can share your project or
also
ideas.
there are the posters, so in the meantime people can go and see each individual project that was being discussed about. They have some questions, bring your ideas and write them down, and then maybe you can go to each person and discuss it with them.
Et voilà.